In this lesson, we're going to talk about nutrition. And so if you have been in any of my classes before or know me, you know that nutrition is huge when it comes to my golden program. I raise golden retrievers, and of course, all of my other dogs that we have here on property. When we think of nutrition with dogs, we think of buying the most expensive bag of dog food. And so kibble is usually formulated by vets, and it's all nutritionally developed so that they have everything that they can so that they can thrive in life. And so AAFCO is the one that regulates dog food. And so you still have different levels of food that you can purchase that AAFCO still will, what is the word I'm looking for, that they'll approve. And so we have, let's just talk about Purina really quick. So I think about the lowest Purina puppy food would be Puppy Chow. And then your highest in the Purina line would be their Pro Plan series. And so all of them are certified by AAFCO as having all the vitamins and minerals and proteins and everything like that, so that your dog, that will feed your dog and give them complete nutrition. Now, of course, your price differences are going to be off. You know, your Pro Plan's going to be up here between, you know, your $60 and $80, and then your Puppy Chow is going to be down here where it's going to be, you know, $25 or something like that. And so when we're talking about kibble, I always say buy the best that you can afford for your dog. It's not about wanting to spend cents on the dollar for your dogs every day, because you wanted this puppy to be a family member. So you know what you spend on yourself per day. And of course, we don't want to get way up into that cost, depending on, of course, what you eat. But we do want a decent enough food. So you don't want to feed Puppy Chow just because it has so many of the corns and the fillers and the protein is lower down on the list. But it doesn't mean that you have to buy an $80 bag of dog food if you can't afford it. You want to make sure that you can buy what you can afford, and then what you can do is you can enhance it. And so that's what we're going to talk about today on nutrition. I'm not going to tell you which dog food to buy. There are people that feed a raw diet out there, which takes a lot of education and following somebody so that you get all the right vitamins and minerals and calcium and everything that just giving them a raw chicken leg doesn't give them. And so there's a lot of education that goes behind that. I don't feed raw because I do a lot of therapy dog work. And so my dogs see immune compromised adults and children, and so I want to make sure that we don't pass anything with my dogs eating raw. Now, your raw feeders will tell you that their food has to be froze for 30 days and it will kill all of those salmonellas and stuff like that, but I'm just not going to take the chance. And of course, I have so many dogs, raw is just probably not in my budget anyways to be able to feed the amount that they would eat. But if you're interested in raw, I 100% can send you to a canine nutritionist that can help you with that. Otherwise, I wanted to show you what I feed my dogs, from their meals to their snacks, what I use supplement-wise and whatever else. So again, I told you that I use Pro Plan. And so I use salmon, or I use lamb and rice. I use beef occasionally, but I don't use chicken. And the biggest reason why I don't use chicken in most things, even dog treats, is because they use almost every single part of the chicken, and it's so overly processed. Most dogs will have loose stools, allergies, dry hair, ear infections, hot spots, and stuff like that from chicken products. And so I kind of stray away from chicken products. Just my opinion, of course. But from there, we can add fresh fruits and vegetables and other things to their food. Because if you think about it, if you eat a diet of, let's say you eat chicken, broccoli, and a sweet potato every single day, every day you eat that same meal every single day, you're going to be missing some nutrients in your life. And if we look at all the cancer and everything out there, you know, we want to be able to be eating our antioxidants and our dark green vegetables and stuff like that. Your animals are no different than that. We don't have carnivores, we have omnivores. And they do have canines, but they also have molars so that they can grind other stuff besides just meat. And of course they're domesticated, so they became domesticated because they ate the leftovers and garbage of what humans left out. And so over a period of time, our dogs need different things in their diet besides just meat. And of course, in kibble, we know that there's more than just meat in there. There's grains and things like that. And so when we talk about adding different fruits and vegetables, everybody always asks me, well, JoLynn, what do you use and how much do you use of it? Really, if you just add some dark leafy cruciferous greens 4 to 5 days a week, you're going to decrease their risk of cancer by almost 90%. That's huge. And that's some cancers, not all cancers. So this is a typical topper for my dogs. I just made this yesterday. And so I usually pick about 4 or 5 vegetables out. And so in here I have kale, I have broccoli, I have bell pepper, I have zucchini. Let's see, what else do I have in here? Kale, broccoli, bell pepper, and butternut squash. And then I also have ground beef. But if you look at this, you notice that mostly what you see is vegetables. I add the ground beef just for extra protein. When I make their food, a lot of the vegetables are raw, and then some of the vegetables are steamed. Your cruciferous vegetables, there's Brussels sprouts in here too. Your cruciferous vegetables like your broccoli and your carrots, your root vegetables, and your Brussels sprouts really need to be either blanched or steamed so that the dogs can digest them, because it's really rough on the colon, which we want that. We want the vegetables to still be crunchy. So when I say blanch, I mean, you know, we're talking for a short period of time. They still come out bright green and crunchy. We don't want any kind of soggy anything. As if you can tell in here, there's nothing mushy in here at all. And then the butternut squash or sweet potato, if you use either or, I just saute them a little bit until they are half cooked, pardon me, so that they don't get mushy. And the zucchini and the bell peppers are completely raw, and then they're just chopped. And then I'll add things like frozen berries. I'll do the cherries that are pitted, and I'll do blueberries because berries have tons of antioxidants, and that helps get rid of free radicals. And so these are things that I do for my dogs so that they can live a longer, healthier life, because I want to enhance that kibble because it is so overly processed. If you only have 1 or 2 dogs, you can talk to a nutritionist about even making homemade dog food. And of course, that is even healthier than kibble itself. Anyways, back to my fruits and vegetables. These are things that are going to enhance their diet, that kibble that they're going to have. I have sports dogs, I have therapy dogs, and I want them to be alert and no behavioral issues or anything like that. And so if you think of a child and you send a child to school, you feed them some Captain Crunch and a big glass of orange juice, and you send them to school and they have STAR testing. You know, they're going to be on a sugar high for a little while, and then they're going to crash hard and they're not going to be able to pay attention in class and everything else. So when you send your kids to school, you're going to send them to school on a healthy breakfast of higher proteins and things that are going to keep them full longer and keep them alert and everything else. Our dogs are the exact same way. So if you're feeding a low quality kibble and that's all you feed them, you might as well be giving them McDonald's and Mountain Dew every day, because they're going to have that sugar rush from those high grains, and then they're going to crash. And so they won't be able to pay attention. You're going to see more bad behaviors because they're hyperactive because of the sugar rushes, and you're going to see lots of poop because they're going to poop all those grains out. You're going to see bad breath and dry skin, and they're going to be scratching. And so there's all those things that come with poor nutrition. So a good quality kibble that you can afford, and then you can enhance their diet. You don't have to put as many vegetables in there as I do. If you have leftover broccoli that doesn't have any seasoning or butter on it, then you can just top it with that. But what my goal is for you is that you're feeding your dog a diet that is balanced, extra fruits and vegetables that helps prevent a lot of weight gain with overfeeding them the kibble, where they have all those calories going in, and then they get the benefits of the dark green vegetables and the antioxidants of the blueberries and the cherries and those high red colored fruits. I also don't give peanut butter. So those of you that like to use peanut butter for treats and in Kongs and stuff like that, this is what I use. Philadelphia cream cheese. I use it in the blocks, and then during Christmas they have these great big ones like this. Peanut butter has lots of issues. Number one, high in oils, high in sugar, high in salt. And so what happens is it can give your dog loose stools because they are ingesting so much of those oils and things. And then peanut butter is recalled all the time. And then now they're hiding xylitol, and it's also called birch sugar in peanut butter, and that's highly toxic to dogs. So we got to make sure that they don't have that. And cream cheese is a really good substitute, and you can freeze it in Kongs, and you can put it in your lick mats and things like that. Add yogurt, add fruit, things. So I was going to talk about supplements too. I give my dog several supplements. And again, this is me. I go a little overboard, but I have golden retrievers, and so they're a breed that can have cancer. So I do everything that I can to prevent my dogs from or not prevent, so that they can live a longer, healthier life. The first thing that I give to all of my dogs is a good probiotic. This is Proviable, my favorite. It's a multi-strain. There's some other great probiotics out there. All of your dog's health, skin health and ear health, comes through the gut. And so if they're fed a high processed diet, and what happens is you can get ear infections easier. Your dogs will be scratching because they have dry skin a lot. Hot spots are these big sores and scabs that can come up on your dogs, and then they require antibiotics and things like that. Bad breath, stools. I have a lot of people go, oh, I can't feed my dog anything but their kibble because they get diarrhea. That's what probiotics help on too. So from the time that my puppies start eating food when I'm raising them, I add a probiotic to it. Every one of my dogs get a probiotic a day so that I can feed them the kitchen sink. Nothing is going to bother my dogs. The other things that I do give my dogs are mushrooms. These are through real mushrooms, and they're made just for pets. We do the lion's mane, which helps with brain health and also helps with support joints and cartilage and things like that. And then my turkey tail and my 5 defenders, both of these I give, they help prevent free radicals in their system. Our dogs pick up a lot of things. They eat sticks and they eat rocks, and they walk across the sidewalk when people are spraying. People have sprayed fertilizers or pesticides and things like that. And so we need to make sure that we remove those free radicals. And then the other thing that I wanted to say, and you've probably seen in the other video, is the things that I feed my dogs for treats. I don't buy anything off of the treat shelf. Now, does that mean that my dogs don't get junk food? Absolutely. If I'm eating a Dorito and they're sitting there, I'll probably feed them a Dorito. But when it comes to training and it comes to working with my dogs and I'm putting a lot of things in their system, I'm going to use something that nourishes their body and is good. So most of the things that I use are air dried or freeze dried foods. So this one is Ziwi Peak, and so I only use a couple of flavors with them because in my classes I've noticed that some of the dogs only like certain flavors. This is one of their mixed ones, Otega Valley, and it has beef and venison and lamb and 2 fish in it. And so it's air dried and it looks like this. It's actually a dog food, but I use it for treats. And so they're easy to chew, easy to swallow. I also like Primal toppers. And again, this is just a freeze-dried raw. This one is beef. and they kind of look like this. I really like Primal because Primal, if I squish like this, they're a little bit harder than some of the freeze-dried, so they still break easier, but they don't crumble in my pockets. The ones that I use most in training classes is gonna be the Instinct. This one is a raw meal. Again, remember, it doesn't say treat, it's a meal, so it's gonna nourish them. And I haven't really found any dogs that won't eat this. The problem is when I use these, I can't put them in my pockets. I gotta make sure I have my training apron or my training packets, because they squish very easily like this. And then they just kind of turn into dust in my pocket. And so that's messy because I always have treats in my pockets. I love these for class, but when I'm taking my dog's place and I have them in my pockets, I usually use those. The other things that I'll use is going to be, this is a refrigerated food, and this is Pet Fresh. I do get this over at PetSmart. They do have it at a couple other stores, even the grocery stores. This one is chicken, beef, salmon, and egg recipe. I do feed this one, but because it has chicken, I don't do this one as much. I do the purple bag. It'll have purple here. And so it's lamb and salmon instead of the chicken. And this, if you can see it, they are just like little balls of wet kibble. So it's pretty high value for the dogs. And of course, because it's a dog food, we're nourishing them. The only bad thing about Pet Fresh is once you open this, it's good for about 3 or 4 days. And so once I open this, I usually put it in the freezer so that when I grab it out, and then I don't have to use the bag within, just a couple of days. So in conclusion, when I talk about nutrition, I talk about enhancing your dog's food. You don't have to go all out and do a huge bags of toppers like I do. And I prepare once a week for my dogs. So I put a handful on every single one of the dog's foods. And I do add the probiotic because we want good gut health. The other thing that I'll use besides my probiotic is kefir. You can get this at your grocery stores. You can use the plain if you want to. I just mix it up with the dogs. This one is mango. No, this one is peach. And I'll do blueberry, and I'll do strawberry, and I'll do different ones. And so when I pour it on their food, it's probably a couple of tablespoons, but it's a great pro and prebiotic. I don't use peanut butter. I use cream cheese and replace them into that. When I'm stuffing something, I'll put some yogurt on their plain Greek yogurt on their food at times. I do my mushroom supplements, and then when I'm using treats, I'm making sure I'm using food quality treats instead of something that is on the treat wall. These are things that are going to keep your dog bright. It's not going to load them down with all of the different ingredients that they don't need, like salts and sugars and food colorings and things like that, so that they're sharp and they pay attention and their learning's better. They won't have the behavioral issues of having sugar crashes and getting overweight from all those treats that are on the treat wall. And so if you have any other questions, just ask me when we are in our group twice a week.